What's up, community? All right, bear with me because this is definitely the second time that I've said this, and why am I being sick like this? Okay, don't look at my notes. African American people, we are more of a mix of different African ethnic groups than racially mixed. Right? There's this narrative that African American people are like a quarter white. No, not with those recessive genes. And I'm not saying that rape was not prevalent. There are serial rapists for sure. But those who are products of rape, who are now enter into the enslaved class, lived and was treated in the same class as Black people, non-mixed Black people. And they oftentimes procreated with other Black people. So that happened 100, 200, 300 years ago, blah, blah, blah. As we know, I think. White genes are recessive genes compared to Black genes, which are dominant. And so having one colonizer in your bloodline don't make you 25%. You see what I mean? I really need people to learn about Black America, please, and not via what these white control stations tell, because y'all people don't know. I be like, girl, nah, you probably have more mixed race culture and people in Trinidad and I mean in so many other places, but Black America, we a bunch of different African ethnic groups. Out of many come one. We like the Jamaicans. Yeah. Yeah. Why is any of this relevant or important? Why are you counting the percentage of racial ethnic mixture, i.e. Saliba? I'm saying this is important because there's an active erasure of Black Americans as an ethnic group, of African people, as if African people do not exist in full outside of Africa. But we already see this active erasure within Latin America. When we are told someone's Afro-Latinx, they look like this exotic mixed race, right? It's like, but Afro-Latinx folk look like my Black ass. Dog, they African people. They're not J-Lo. They're not Cardi B. They're African people. They're not racially ambiguous. You see what I mean? The erasure has already happened over there. Oftentimes, whenever you see visuals or representation of folks in Latin America, particularly of the women, they're racially ambiguous, right? And it's fair to say with anti-Blackness and colorism being global, whenever you see the representation of any group of people where there is an overrepresentation of the lighter hued, lighter complected people, and an underrepresentation of the darker skinned people. Look at India, for example. A lot of Indians are darker, again, than my Black ass. Where do we see it in media? Okay. So in North America, this is an exercise for y'all. Check me out. Because I started doing this 13 years ago when I was in my images of women in media classes, filming. In advertisements, I want y'all to start counting the many times that you see a Black man partnered with or paired with a non-Black woman and a mixed race Black woman. Because I'm making the point that whenever it is a Black woman, she's racially ambiguous. She has to look like Tracee Ellis Ross. And when do you see a Black woman that's just as visibly Black as the man? I won't nerd out too much, but I could definitely use an ecological model to show how the visual erasure of Black women helps set the stage for the genetic annihilation of Black people. As we may forget, that there's simply some ethnic groups that no longer exist because they came in contact with the same colonizers that are the powerhouses today. So it's not like this is extreme or paranoia. Dog, the Black American population been 13% my whole childhood. Like, why ain't we growing? There's something, right? Okay, mass incarceration is a lot, right? Like violence and oppression and actual, right? Okay. What are the implications of this? Oftentimes, folk tend to think that the implications are solely connected to sense of belonging, right? So if I'm a young Black girl and the representation of Black women look like something that is genetically unattainable, then that internalizes a sense of I don't belong and self-hate. And that's when we start to get to body mutilation that we call surgery, and we try to create a positive narrative around wanting to change your body to meet the need, to meet the standards that society has put forth for capital gain at that, right? So yeah, it looks like growing up with Black features and not thinking that these lips came from your bloodline, this nose came from your bloodline, right? Like, we don't see ourselves, and so there's this internalization of invisibility. Okay, cool. There's that. So you have a generation of young people who don't, I swear it looks like my lips are chapped, but they not. I just got some full lips. Anyway, so the larger systematic implications is we then have a hard time placing and seeing Black folk in position of leadership and positions of power who are not racially and ethnically connected to the white ruling class. And granted, of course, not all mixed people is not just white and Black. Also, in American context, it's been indigenous white and Black for a long time, and maybe some Mexican over the West Coast. Shout out to the West. How does that translate to Black women in real time in our professions? Outside of the very clear systematic effort to prevent Black folk from having access to power and being in leadership positions, particularly Black folk whose values center that of Black people and not those who adopt colonial values, right, to approximate themselves to this white ruling class. What that means is people have so much resistance and disbelief in the positions that we occupy, and it caused so much violence for us on the job. Because, I mean, for the past decade at least, you have been socialized to categorize Black women in the archetypes that we have actively represented for ourselves for our own income. Shout out to the housewives and the rappers.